All right, let's just jump right in. For the longest time, we thought of AI as this passive thing, right? You ask it a question, it gives you an answer, you tell it to make a picture, it makes a picture, but that's all changing. The whole game is shifting. We're now stepping into a world where AI doesn't just wait for your command. It actually takes the initiative. It goes out and solves problems all on its own.
And this quote, this really hits the nail on the head. It's the core idea of everything we're talking about today. See, we're going beyond just the language model, the brain, and we're actually building it into a full-fledged application that can get stuff done. This is the leap, right here, the jump from just thinking to actually doing things in the real world.
So what's the real difference? What are we actually looking at here? Well, think about it like this. On the one hand, with the old-school predictive AI, we're the ones micromanaging everything. We're in the driver's seat, telling it exactly what to do step by step by step. But on the other side, with these autonomous agents, our job completely changes. We're not giving it a long list of instructions anymore. Nope, we're just giving it a goal, a destination, and then the agent itself figures out how to get there.
Okay, so to really get how big of a leap this is, we've got to pop the hood open and see what's inside. Let's break down the 3 essential parts that make every single one of these agents work.
First things first, you've got the model. This is the brain of the operation. Simple as that. It's the core reasoning engine. This is the part that looks at the mission you gave it, makes sense of all the information, and then comes up with the strategy. It's the planner, the thinker. But, a brain can't do much on its own, right? It needs a way to interact with the world. And that's where the tools come in. These are the agent's hands. They're what allow it to actually do things. Things like searching the web, pulling information from a database, or heck, even sending an email. The tools are what make the thinking real. And finally, what connects the brain to the hands? Well, that's the orchestration layer. And if the model is the brain and the tools are the hands, then this is the nervous system. It's the coordinator, the conductor of the orchestra. It's constantly telling the brain when to think and the hands when to act. It manages the whole process from start to finish, making sure everything is working together smoothly to get that goal done.
So, we've got the brain, the hands, and the nervous system. All the pieces are there, but how do they actually come together to solve a problem? Well, it all boils down to this really simple but incredibly powerful loop. It's the process that drives everything an agent does.
It ticks off when you give it a mission. First, the agent takes a look around, scans the scene to get all the context it needs. Then, the brain gets to work and comes up with a plan. It takes an action, but this next part is the magic. It observes what happened, and it takes that result and feeds it right back into its brain. This lets it learn, adapt, and try again, over and over until the job is done.
Okay, that might sound a little abstract, so let's make it super concrete with an example. Let's say the mission is simple. Where's my order? The agent doesn't just, guess. It thinks, right? It makes a plan. First, I need to find the order in the system. Then, I'll get the tracking number. And finally, I'll use that to check the shipping status. So it acts. It finds the order. It observes the result, which is the tracking number. And then it iterates, using that new piece of information to take its next step. It's this beautiful, logical cycle.
But here's the thing. Not all agents are the same, not by a long shot. You can think of their abilities as being on a spectrum, or maybe a better way to visualize it is as a ladder of autonomy. So, let's start at the bottom and climb our way up to see how these things get more and more powerful.
All right, level 1, the first rung on the ladder.
So what makes this level special? It's all about connecting to the outside world. This agent can use a tool to get live, real-time information. And that is a huge deal, because it means the AI isn't stuck with just the old data it was trained on. So if you ask it, hey, what was the score of the game last night? It doesn't have to just shrug. It can actually go look it up and give you the real answer.
Okay, moving on up to level 2. And this is where we see a really big jump in what these agents can do. This is what we call the strategic problem solver. The key difference here is that it doesn't just do one thing. It can actually create a whole multi-step plan and then execute it. So for a tricky goal like, find me a coffee shop that's halfway between my house and my friend's house, it's smart enough to know, okay, step 1, I have to figure out the midpoint. Then, step 2, I use that location to search for coffee shops. It's thinking ahead.
All right, level 3. Now this is where the whole idea kind of shifts. We're not talking about a single agent anymore. We're talking about a whole team of them. This is a collaborative multi-agent system, and honestly, the best way to get it is to just think of a company.
You've got a project manager agent. It gets a big, complicated goal, and its job is to break that goal down into smaller tasks. Then, it delegates those tasks to a team of specialist agents. Maybe one is an expert researcher, another is a great writer, a third is a coder, and they all work together to get the big project done.
And that brings us to the top. Level 4. This is the absolute cutting edge, the frontier of what's possible with agentic AI today. This is the self-evolving system. And this is where things get really wild. A system like this doesn't just use the tools you give it. If it runs into a problem it can't solve, it can actually recognize that it's missing a skill, and then it can create a brand new tool for itself, or even a whole new specialized agent right there on the spot. I mean, think about that. It's not just solving problems, it's actively making itself smarter and more capable over time.
So, there you have it. We've climbed this whole ladder, all the way from a simple tool that can check a sports score to a system that can literally evolve itself. But, so what? What does this all mean for you, for me, for how we're all going to work in the future?
And that really brings us to the most important point of all. We've got to stop thinking about AI as just a tool, a faster calculator or a smarter spreadsheet. The real potential, the end game here, is something else entirely. It's a true collaborator. It's a brand new kind of teammate for your team. And that leaves us with one last question to chew on. And it's a big one. Because as this tech gets better and easier to use, you're going to be able to add an autonomous agent to your team. So, the question is, when that day comes, what's the first mission you're going to give it?